Sorry, that happens sometimes. Y'all like wax? I'm sure some of you are familiar with Sky Children of the Light. If you're not, you were just looking at some of my gameplay and in-engine cutscenes. It was developed by that game company, who are also responsible for making Journey. It was first released on iOS on July 18th, 2019. Holy shit. And has since come to all of these platforms at time of writing. So, Grammy, why are you talking about it? Well, I just like it, quite frankly, and I want to make an accessible guide for getting started in the game. To avoid any major story spoilers, we'll talk about gameplay first. If it appeals to you, stop the video and go download the game. It is entirely free and is more than worth a try in my humble opinion. I also have to stress, this video is not sponsored. I really like the game, if you couldn't tell about everything about me. The gameplay is rather easy. Basic movement consists of 2 buttons and a joystick. There are other buttons that do other things, but for our purposes, the only other important one is the button. While you travel the 7 realms, you'll run into other players shown as Grey Children. You can use one of your 2 important buttons to light a player to make their cosmetics visible to you and you to them. So you move, and you solve puzzles with other players while traversing the areas the game has to offer. There are candles strewn about the world that give you a resource called light. Personally, I call it wax, since collecting enough of it makes a candle. Another resource is something that enables you to fly. The game refers to them as winged lights. Collect enough of them, and you'll get another flap of your wings to use for traversal. The amount of flaps you have are denoted here and here. These resources can be locked behind doors that require multiple players to open, also often having a spirit behind the door. The spirit being an NPC who houses cosmetics and the like that you can unlock. So you'll need to be a little social in a massively multiplayer online game. Speaking of being social in an MMO, there are 2 ways that you can engage with this game's social aspect. A, go make friends, do silly emotes, chill with each other, and the usual MMO nonsense. Or B, playing alone, not talking to anyone and only cooperating when you need to solve a puzzle, taking in the almost haunting silence of the different areas as you remember any NPC you talk to is classified as a spirit and therefore is dead as hell, and aside from other players, you're the only living example of your species. I had a lot of fun playing that way, actually. To recap, your gameplay consists of moving, walking, reliving the memories of various NPCs, and collecting light of various kinds. What's the actual appeal? Personally, I adore the calm the game provides. Its atmosphere so far has been unmatched in games I've played or watched, even if I get burnout playing it every day. It's always so easy to pick back up and just be wrapped up in the world again. It's almost like talking to an old friend. Now, you might have noticed my character has, as the kids would say, drip. Oh god, I actually said that. Not all of these are currently available. Some items in the game are locked behind seasonal spirits and this season itself. Others are from short-term events named in the format of Days of Blank. Each season lasts about 3 months, and at time of writing, Season of Duets has 8 days left. Each mini-event, such as Days of Moonlight, go on for roughly 2 weeks. Each event brings in new cosmetics and emotes. Along with it comes a resource called Seasonal Candles, which are simply a special currency gained during the season and converted to normal candles when it is over. During the season, there will be special quests given by someone like Theos, who will guide you through the season's story and give you rewards for each mission you complete. There's also a lot of lore trapped in the seasons, actually. For example, Season of Abyss. Because what the fuck is that? This season was dense with lore, and yet because the game has minimal text, I didn't quite get what was going on until I dug deeper into the overall lore of the game. That would be its own video if people show interest. The quick and dirty of Season of Abyss is that you, the player, join a crew who is trying to salvage what they can from a wrecked factory location. As you explore, you find creatures of light trapped in the facility and the monster I showed earlier lurking in the depths. You can still go to the reef and explore the season yourself, but if you want to understand the story, you should look up a release order of the seasons so you can replay them in order so you don't get entirely lost. Each seasonal area is always able to be accessed, and seasonal spirits able to be interacted with and relive their memories. However, outside of their allotted time, you cannot get their cosmetics. Yes, seasonal cosmetics, excluding basic emotes, are only available for a limited time. Select spirits from different seasons do return occasionally. At time of writing, a group spirit has come back in the form of Season of Shattering cosmetics, leaving again in about a week. This is the biggest criticism the community seems to have about the game, which is both fair and not, but that is a discussion for another time. Just know, if you really like something from the current season, you will have to grind or play Credit Card Simulator. Who am I to judge, really? Okay, here's the deal. The game can get really grindy if all you're after is the cosmetics, but that applies to any game though. Cough cough Fortnite cough. The typical grind loop is thus. You log in, you grab your daily missions, and you run the first 6 areas, the 7th once a week. I'll get back to that. This is called a candle run. It is normally what I do on streams when I play the game, and it can take about 2 hours. A good candle run can net you about 20 candles a day, the meter turning gray after you've reached that limit. Yes, they limit how many candles you can get in a day. I don't get it either, it's whatever. Other than that optional gameplay loop, the world is your oyster, and you can explore every nook and cranny this game has to offer and see how lovingly this game was made. And sometimes find something they need to fix. Like, come on guys, I've seen this exact lack of polygons for years. When will you fix it? Remember how I mentioned a 7th area and how I would get back to that? I kind of lied. I'm only gonna give you the quick and dirty. The area is called Eden. It's the last in the game. It represents death and rebirth. You go in there, you give up your winged lights, you die. I won't show the gameplay here because frankly, I think it is a wonderful experience to have for yourself. The last thing I'll speak on is the community. First, the different stages of being a Sky player. First, if you join because of this video, congrats! You're now what the community has dubbed a moth. I promise it's an affectionate term. The default brown cape is reminiscent of the wings of the insect and references how new players tend to scurry to anything and everything relatively shiny. I was once like this. I remember it fondly. I also think the moth cosmetic pack that you can buy is a reference to this community term. Next in the life cycle is a butterfly. This is often a player who has some non-restricted cosmetics and has completed Eden at least once.
Several months later.
Now, we see what are called veterans. This is a more nebulous term since it's used to refer to several types of players who have been in the game for a while, the most common two being a player who was in the beta limited live. I imagine those players are a bit sparse nowadays considering the game has been out for 5 years now, and people like me who have been in the game for a long time and therefore have a decent amount of cosmetics, be it from the standard spirits or seasonal events. Generally, a veteran is just someone who's more experienced in the game and thus would be better suited to help new players if they need it. Hell, some people who got into the game because of me when I was streaming it are more experienced than I am now. There are also different kinds of content creators. The most common I see are those who make guides for different missions and seasonal quests, and those who make charts for possible prices for cosmetics. I have yet to find someone who has done a dive into the lore, and it kind of makes me cry. All in all, from what I've seen, the community is rather nice and welcoming. Hell, that's how they treated me when I first played, and when I continue to play today. All in all, the game is a fun and relaxing experience with a focus on the ambience and visual storytelling. There is no wrong way to enjoy the game, and the community is welcoming to anyone who wants to journey through the kingdom. I've never been good at writing essays, much less ending them with anything special or thought-provoking. But I guess if I had to make a nice send-off for my first big production, it would be that I hope you join me on this journey.